Hello there, my RPG lovers, and welcome to another video. Titan Quest II gameplay just dropped, and we finally got to see how the game actually looks. We had a very cool cinematic trailer when they announced the game, and some screenshots of the gameplay. But it's time to look at some real gameplay clips, and I'm going to analyze some parts of this video which caught my attention. First of all, let's start with the visuals. It seems like they're going to absolutely nail the look and feel of Titan Quest. If you haven't played the original game, Titan Quest had a Greek mythology setting. The vibrant color palette and the artistic style in general did an amazing job of bringing this fantasy setting to life. It seems like we're getting more of the same in the sequel, with higher fidelity of course. The colors are not very saturated like in the first game, but it's still a very similar look. Although the sequel certainly has a bit more realistic art style compared to the original game. What made Titan Quest maps so fun to explore was the diverse set of maps. You would go from Greek forest and coast areas to deserts, snowy mountains, Asian-inspired maps like the Great Wall of China, and so on. The diversity of terrain was really impressive. So I really hope the sequel has something similar, although the footage of the trailer doesn't seem to indicate that. I would say that 90% of this footage is recorded in one map, which is probably Greece. I was really hoping that this trailer will explore different maps like Egypt, Orient, and maybe some clips from the North area. We're not even entirely sure if the sequel will have a similar map, but I would be very disappointed if the whole game has only one area. One area as in one biome that has the same visual style. Then again, we can see some breathtaking scenes from this trailer. These locations look freaking amazing if you ask me. What I couldn't really tell from this trailer is the layout of the map. The first Titan Quest had a pretty open map design for most areas. It was not just about going forward in a narrow path, because most areas were pretty wide. This is something that Grim Dawn, the spiritual successor to Titan Quest, improved quite a bit. You had these wide open areas that you could freely explore, and it felt like you're playing an open world game with many secrets to find and optional quests. So I'm really hoping that Titan Quest II will have a similar approach to map design like Grim Dawn, because I personally find it superior to pretty much all ARPGs out there. It's hard to tell if that's going to be the case by watching this trailer, but some of these clips are showcasing wider areas, so fingers crossed. They are hitting me right into nostalgia with some of these coastal areas, because they look very similar to the first game. It's one of those moments when you think that's exactly how the first game looked in your mind. Still though, I think the first game aged pretty good in general, and it looks great for a 2006 title. The last thing related to graphics that I wanted to mention is the armor design. We can see that the developer is really proud of the armor sets they created, and they should be, because I was drooling when I saw some of these clips. They showcased a lot of armor sets in this short gameplay clip. I think they did an amazing job with the armor set design, and I can't wait to try and complete some of the sets. If the sequel is anything like the first game, that's not going to be easy. The sequel is supposed to have a feature called Affix Crafting, which can turn basic items into epic items with the right materials. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the case with the armor as well. I'm pretty sure that all of these armor sets are available in the game itself, and not in some bullshit store where you have to buy them for real money. I mean, that's how the first game worked, but you never know today. Yeah, imagine not having to spend real money to look cool in an RPG. Fuck hell. The boss that we could see looks pretty unique and very cool. It's like a mythical seahorse monster or something. Anyway, let's talk about the gameplay. Right off the bat, we can see some cool warrior and mage abilities. And shortly after that, we can see that the player is a mix of warfare and storm masteries. The whole gist of Titan Quest character progression was combining two different skill trees, which the game called masteries. You had to invest level up points into actual skill tree, which would then unlock new passive and active abilities. The sequel seems to work the same, but with added modifiers on top of the skills. This gameplay clip showcases the simple leap ability and the upgraded leap ability as well. We can see a lot of available modifiers for the skill, and I'm assuming this right here is the level requirement. The mastery itself has different tier levels, but I'm not exactly sure if this actually does something. I mean, it's obvious that different tiers will unlock new abilities, but maybe there's more to it. The first Titan Quest had 9 masteries in the base game, so I hope to see something similar in the sequel as well. That really allows the player to go crazy with mixing 2 different masteries, and it's certainly one of the things which makes the replay value very high. Then we have a couple of pure mage gameplay clips, and I assume this is pure Storm mastery. It looks pretty fun, and it seems like you can choose to stick with only one mastery if you want to, just like in the first game. But I always thought that mixing 2 masteries is very fun, so I don't believe that I ever had a character that focuses on one mastery. As for the raw technical side of the gameplay, I think the game looks fine in general. The animations are not amazing by any means, but they don't look bad at all. The gameplay looks a bit stiff here and there, but this won't matter much if the control scheme is responsive. That is the most important thing to get right in order to make the combat feel good. The animations look serviceable, but if the controls are not responsive, it will make the game feel sluggish. The first game had a slight issue with the input delay, which made the controls a bit less responsive. It was not horrible, but it's certainly worth mentioning, and I hope the sequel doesn't have those issues. Titan Quest used a custom engine, but I'm pretty sure Titan Quest 2 is using Unreal Engine 5, so it shouldn't have similar issues. Grim Dawn uses the same engine like the first Titan Quest game, but it was vastly improved and pushed to its limits basically. A lot of people brought up the lack of ragdoll physics in this trailer. This probably won't mean much to new players that plan to jump right into the sequel. But if you're an OG Titan Quest player, you know that ragdoll physics were a huge feature. It made the combat feel so satisfying when you start throwing enemies all over the place with your abilities. Unfortunately, it seems like the sequel lacks this feature almost entirely, at least judging by this gameplay clip. I wouldn't get my hopes up for this feature, because it seems like the game is feature complete pretty much. Although in this clip we can see the player kill some crabs on the coast, and this is the closest to ragdoll physics that we could see in the entire video, so who knows. But pretty much every other enemy type seems to have some sort of a on-death animation, which doesn't look bad at all, but I would still prefer ragdoll physics over this. Here's another great feature that was in the first game, which was kinda related to this. Enemies would physically drop the items they are wearing, which made the game so much more immersive than any ARPG that came before it. This also meant that you could see a very cool and unique item on the enemy, so you would rush to kill it more quickly. It was hard to see sometimes because of so many enemies on the screen, but still, it was an amazing and immersive feature. I'm not sure if the sequel will have this feature because it's another physics-based mechanic just like ragdolls. It will be a shame if the sequel totally ignores this, because it's one of the things which made the original so unique. Some people won't care about this, which is totally fine. These kinds of features are not essential, but they certainly make the game better, in a way. The boss fight at the end looks decent, and there are some more unique abilities that we could see the player use. It's nothing crazy, but the game seems to be on the right track when it comes to the gameplay mechanics. It's left to be seen how many options we actually have for creating a unique build. Like I said before, if we get at least 9 masteries in the sequel on launch, that's going to be more than enough. The first game got several expansions and some of them added more masteries. Maybe that will be the case with the sequel, but let's focus on the base game first. I really hope this game will be good because Titan Quest is very close to my heart. I replayed the first game at least once a year, and I also made some videos about it in the past that you can check out. So fingers crossed for the sequel. It looks good so far, but this is just a 2-minute gameplay video. I will cover the game in the future as well, so be sure to stick around. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. You can also support me by becoming a YouTube member or a Patreon. I also have some cool t-shirts and hoodies in the theme of the channel, so check that out as well. Huge thanks to all of my current supporters, and I'll see you in the next one.